Empires on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
What good is a Big Berkey water filter?
We get that question a lot here at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. And in a word, the answer is protection. Protection from water main breaks, E. coli contamination, environmental chemical spills, pesticide runoff, chlorine taste and smell, and all forms of fluoride. Plus, Big Berkey water filters are the original gravity water filter system and most trusted on the market for a reason. Tested by multiple independent NSF EPA certified labs, they are the gold standard in water purification. At only 1.7 cents a gallon, a single set of filters can last for 5 to 10 years. That means big savings. Big Berkey, the one that's powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get a Big Berkey today at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. GCN listeners receive 5% off all ceramic filter systems. Visit our website or call 1-877-99-BERKEY. That's 877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
When I first got online and I seen the price of the X2 and the DNA Force, I was a little hesitant, but I pulled the trigger on it. It has changed my life. I've been taking it for about 24 days now, counting the weight, staying in shape.
InfoWarsLife.com. You've heard the callers to the show.
Several months back, I started taking your Nathan Iodine and your Super Meal. Prior to this, I was barely walking. Now I'm able to function as a human again.
Whether it's Survival Shield, Nascent Iodine, or DNA Force, Super Male Vitality, Super Female Vitality, Lung Cleanse, Fluoride Shield, Oxy Powder. I believe that all of these products will blow you away like they've done the thousands of other customers that have visited InfoWarsLife.com.
Dash 2, just amazing what it's able to do to actually detox the body. It's great stuff.
If I'm going to promote something, it's got to be something I personally use and that I believe in. Check out InfoWarsLife.com today and the entire line of groundbreaking, cutting-edge, hardcore products.
Mike Stenerson for Midas Resources. At no time in history have precious metals been more important, certainly not in my 22 years in the industry. The dollar has lost over 90% of its value in the last 60 years. No fiat currency has ever survived the government printing presses. Ours is not immune. The time is now to be proactive. 1-800-686-2237, extension 116. Anything tied to the dollar is at risk. CDs, annuities, 401ks, IRAs, stocks, bonds, you name it, so decide. Do you want to leave a legacy of wealth or debt for your family? The choice is yours. Call me at 1-800-686-2237, extension 116. That's 1-800-686-2237, extension 116. Be proactive, not reactive. Call 1-800-686-2237, extension 116.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight here. We're in Overdrive. We're taking your calls. We want to get your reactions to what's going on in Ferguson. It's a huge watershed event because there are some real systemic problems here. And, of course, racism is an element here. It definitely is falling disproportionately on black people, but just like the war on drugs, it also falls disproportionately on black people. It affects all of us. It destroys our justice system. Any of us can be shot dead by the police, and they can essentially get away with it with these different rules of engagement. We need to have outside oversight. What you just saw with this grand jury process, this secretive process, was not a real trial. There was not a jury. There was not openness. There was not transparency. Usually it is a pro forma process that goes through, doesn't take very long. They stretch this, something that usually takes less than a day, they stretched into 3 months or more than 3 months. This is something that is very unusual. It's very unusual for the defendant to testify at all before a grand jury. Why? Because there's no, he cannot have his lawyer. There's nobody there but the prosecutor. And so Darren Wilson, the defendant, testified. He gave over 4 hours of testimony. Very unusual situation. It almost makes it look like the prosecutor doesn't want to prosecute, doesn't it? We need to have this conversation, yet this, because the way this is handled, I believe they have deliberately manipulated this in order to feed racism. We have seen many other cases, and we haven't seen the kind of turnout in blatant, clear-cut situations where the man was killed, had absolutely no guilt. We had that in the Walmart situation where you had someone call in 911 and say that a guy is waving a gun around in Walmart. They show up. He's got a BB gun from Walmart that he's about to purchase in one hand and the phone in the other. They shoot him dead. Yet there's no prosecution, no indictment against the officer. He says, we came in responding to what we were told on 911. Yet there is nothing done to the guy who made the false call either. We have the video footage showing that he didn't threaten anybody, showing that he was shot before he was given an opportunity to set the toy gun down. Yet nothing has been done. Not even the person who essentially yelled fire in a crowded theater, the guy who made the 911 call. No charges have been brought against him either. There are serious problems with this system, and it goes far beyond one group or another. We go back to the famous quote from Pastor Martin Niemöller from the Nazi regime. He said, they came against this group, I didn't do anything. Came against that group, I didn't do anything because I wasn't a member of those groups. And then they came against me and there was nobody left. That is precisely the situation we see here. If we're going to fall back into this group against that group, it's not about that. It's not even about everybody versus the police. They're going to fall prey to this as well. Now, I want to go back to your calls, but before we do, I wanted to let you know this hour is brought to you by the Alex Jones, by the InfoWarsLife.com. And we have about a week left of Silver Bullet at the rate that it's going. We're going to run out probably of Secret 12 today. And it takes a long time to get these things back in. We get them in one batch of a time, especially Silver Bullet. It could take us at least 6 weeks to get that back in. It's very difficult and dangerous to make it in the high concentrations of 30 parts per million that we have here. It's in a deionized water base. It's free of toxic artificial additives. There's never been a more important time to have a powerful and clean form of colloidal silver within reach for you and your family. Go to InfoWarsLife.com to order your Silver Bullet now or call 888-253-3139. That's 888-253-3139. With cold season upon us and various other things that you need to be protected against in this time of year, it's a great time to stock up on these things that can help you fight infection, things that can build your immune system. So again, Secret 12 is going to sell out today, and probably at the rate things have been going, we're going to be out of Silver Bullet within a week, and it's going to take us probably at least 6 weeks to get that back in. Let's go to your calls. I want to get some more of your reactions. Let's go to John in Kentucky. John?
Yes, David. How you doing?
Doing good. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I was calling in about comment on Ferguson. I think it really is like a testing ground of what they're going to, spread across the rest of the country. Because like you were saying earlier, they really haven't had a bigger reaction to this type of situation like they have here.
Yeah, it gives them a chance to use their new toys. It gives them a chance to use their new rules of engagement. It gives them a chance to try it out. And we have been a testing ground for their propaganda manipulation through the press because they have deliberately made this particular case where you've got a situation where possibly the officer was justified at some level to use force. Whether or not it was fully justified, I believe they should have had an indictment of probable cause from the grand jury. I think they should have had an open, transparent trial because here's the system. We have the officer's guilt or innocence is not as important as the system's guilt or innocence. Everyone is rightfully questioning whether or not we have a legitimate system. And we need to see that the system is capable of openly operating and being transparent and putting all of its cards on the table. We should have had a trial. We could have seen the exculpatory evidence brought out little by little. People could have discussed it as it was going along. They could have stood this thing down. Instead, they kept it secret in a grand jury operation. And then when they released it, they released the verdict at 8 p.m., calculated to cause riots. I believe this is a deliberate approach. Do you believe that was what they were trying to do when they did it at 8 o'clock?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I agree with Alex on the fact that they are using like berets or Delta Force or something there, because it just don't add up.
Oh, absolutely.
And another thing I was wanting to tell you guys about is in my small town, Mount Sterling, Kentucky, like it's a pretty small town. I mean, you know, we got Lexington and everything else around, and there ain't as many people here. But there's been like a lot of, I think they're about to do something here, because there's been like a lot of military activity, CIA vehicles, like numerous other amount of agencies here, and just like weird things been going on. Too many like military vehicles and helicopters.
Well, I can tell you that you're seeing militarization all over the country, and it is really a national problem, as well as I said, the rules of engagement that we're seeing from the police. Thank you, John. Let's move on to Jeremy in Michigan. Jeremy. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, hey, David. Yeah, I just wanted to applaud you for at least mentioning that some of this has something to do with race, because all I've seen, and what's quite frankly appalling, is the level of insensitivity to the fact that black people have been disproportionately incarcerated, as well as Latinos, harassed and beaten by the police. And, you know, there's not enough credit given to the organic nature of this whole protest and this whole outrage, what's really not a protest, which is really just rioting and acting crazy, is because of the fury, because a lot of people don't understand what it's like to be black and discriminated against. And as a black man, you know, having been discriminated on plenty of times, and every other black person I've known at some point, it's a deep feeling of hurt and rage that comes with it, because you just want to, you know, be respectful and get along with people, and no matter how respectful you are, just as we saw with the cop on the East Coast when the guy got out of his truck just trying to get his license and just gunned down, you know, it's that kind of thing. No matter how respectful you are, even after getting shot, calling them sir, you're still looked at as someone who has to be something wrong with it. And that's, quite frankly, even with Alex Jones, surprisingly enough, someone who I've seen just a year ago protesting, and the police harassing him, and he goes, here I am getting assaulted. Yeah. He knows exactly, you know, what.
Well, and that's just it. It's not, you know, certainly, as I said before, there is a component of racism in this, and you cannot deny that when you see that it is 10 times or 12 times or more. 80% of the people who go to jail and for marijuana possession actually serve time are black. You don't see the same kinds of conviction rates with the rest of the population that you see with blacks for marijuana, for example. And of course, the shootings, it's a much, much higher rate. It's so far out of proportion, you have to acknowledge that that's an element of it. But if they divide us along racial lines, none of us will be safe. That's the way that we don't get anything changed, is that they divide us from that. I cannot even imagine how you as a black man feels by this. I get a little bit of a taste of it when I see people who are here as illegal aliens essentially getting a pass when they do things in traffic, when we've had people in my family now hit twice, and these are illegal aliens, and basically they don't even get a ticket. They just tell them to go ahead and go. So that infuriates me. That's a very minor thing compared to what's happening to the black people in this country. And, you know, that is something where people who are not citizens of this country are getting a preferential treatment. We see it with the welfare that they receive coming in as illegal immigrants. We see it with their legal status, even on the streets. And that is something where they get, and it's not even a racial thing. It's not even a Hispanic thing. That's a citizen versus non-citizen thing. If you're a white, black, Hispanic citizen, you're not going to get the same kind of treatment as an illegal alien does on the road. So that makes me angry. I can only imagine if there's the kind of disproportionate actions with black people in terms of shootings, in terms of incarceration for the war on drugs. But we can't fall into that trap. That's what they want us to do. They want to pit one group against the other. We need to take on this system. And that's why I said earlier, Jeremy, that what people needed to see was they needed to see that the system was honest. And I'm not convinced that it was. And I think they deliberately kept it hidden, kept it in the dark the entire process, then released the verdict in the dark, literally, to try to foment this kind of race war. And now we see that's all that people want to talk about is the race aspect of it. It was a black man who was shot in Walmart with a BB gun that he was going to buy from Walmart and a phone in his hand. That was something where that was a clear case. He was not doing anything